Hyper is finally out. Yes. What's going on, y'all? You're now watching the greatest channel that has ever existed. My name is 𝘰𝘯𝘵𝘮𝘺𝘰, and I truly appreciate you guys for being here with me. So yes, I'm hyper. I'm drinking all my coffee, just like I'm hyper for the hyper token. Hyper is finally out. Cannot believe it is finally coming out. Well, actually, hyper is not out, but the hyper white paper is out. But hyper white paper that just came out, it was about 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. I know that Jake lives in Europe somewhere, so it was probably in the afternoon over there when he released it. Hyper is now finally been announced in detail, and it's going to come out much, much, much sooner than you guys anticipated and that we all anticipated. So it's just good news on top of good news on top of good news. Before I get into the details of Hyper and the details of TitanX, I want to look at some of the comments from my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. Would not be here without you. Love you guys so much. The first comment that we have is from John PB2. She says, when we go crypto, it will be easy to control us. Don't comply with everything and they shut you off. Now, he's not talking about crypto per se. He's talking about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. These are currencies that United States and every other nation, whether big or small, is going to be coming out with their own digital form of currency. And because it's digital, it's kind of dangerous to interact with. If you say the wrong things, they might make your version of the currency be worth less than others. You might have to obey certain things. If you don't vote for a certain candidate, they might make you, they might take the currency away from you. They might make this currency like a coupon, as in you only have about 2 weeks to spend this currency that they give to you. Let's pretend as if that's welfare or something. Let's say that you're going through hard times and you have welfare. They're going to give you a CBDC welfare, and you're forced to only spend this money on certain aspects, certain areas. It's pretty much about control. Now, I know the government is publicly going to say that, oh, no, we're not going to do any of this stuff. We are all about freedom. It's a damn lie. Government is completely about control. Government controls everything. Government controls YouTube throughout this video. I can't even say everything I want to say. And even though YouTube is an independent company, they still have connections, ties to the government. And that's why they censor a lot of the things that we say on here. Next comment that we have is from Fed Up Vet that says, why do people who don't want or can't have children always want children at their parade for Satan? Uh-oh, that's a bad comment. Yeah, this is about the LGBT community and how during their pride parades, they have a lot of children coming to their parades and how it's, good, probably not so good. Michael Sartain gives his thoughts about those stuff. Watch my interview that I have about it. Don't worry, no one hates gay people. Relax. No one hates gay people, but we are talking about the nuances of it. And maybe children shouldn't be exposed to certain aspects such as nudity that happen often at these parades, okay? Next comment that we have is from 25 Alpha that says, scam token. This is with TitanX. That's what I'm going to be talking about during this video. And also Hyper, I'm going to be talking about it too. He believes that it's a scam token. I understand why he might believe that. Yes, TitanX has been negative for max mints, meaning that it's actually more profitable to buy TitanX, stake it, and then let's say unstake it for 9 months. Let's say that you did a max mint right now. It might be more profitable to just buy it out the market and then stake it for 9 months instead of just doing a 9-month mine. However, I don't really know if that's the case because you also receive bonuses from the more people that join the TitanX community. That you wouldn't receive those bonuses if you just staked it. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Personally, I'm probably just gonna still do mines because it's only about negative 15% ROI right now if you do the max 9-month mine. Next comment that we have is from TitanX. Woo! I mean, it's from Frosty Dog. Okay, he says TitanX, and then Blue says TitanX with fire emoji. Thank you, Blue. You've been a long-term follower for years now. Really appreciate you. Next comment that we have is from Marcus 2012. He says, 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘵, the only Zen that can compete with the Titan, but people are sleeping on it. Thank you. Yes, I'm the only one that's talking about 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘵. And I talk about 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘵 because Jack Levin intelligently coded it so that 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘵 increases in value 8 times faster than the Zen on all the other ecosystems. So 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘵 is going to absolutely explode. Anyway, so Jake Sharp announced about 10 hours ago that Hyper white paper is now live. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Okay. So the white paper is now live. It's coming out. When is it coming out? All right. Hyper is not live. I'm going to go into details about it, but when is it coming out? Well, good news. Hyper is coming out in less than 24 hours. This is the greatest news of all time. Let's read some other things that he said, some other tweets that he has. He says right here that he's just getting warmed up. He has some DBZ memes that's right here. He says, if you have a lot of questions, read the fucking white paper. We're going to go through the white paper together right now, so don't worry about it. The reaction to the Hyper is an IQ test. Just go into his website and his Twitter and go to 𝘰𝘰𝘧𝘰𝘰 and read all of his tweets yourself. A lot of the tweets are very interesting. Here's an interesting tweet right here. What if TitanX was designed to be long-term fair launch store of value to back everything in the TitanX ecosystem? What if it's like a marketplace? What if it's the dollar for the TitanX marketplace? Very intelligent. And all the insane stuff is supposed to be built on top of it. TitanX is the L1 built within the hardest, most valuable L1 in existence. I think he's talking about Ethereum. Built on TitanX. If it's the store of value, where does all this value occur? Questions to ponder on. You could mine Bitcoin for free by pressing the exe and letting your computer run. The difference is TitanX is not free to create. You create via Ethereum and time, okay? And Bitcoin is not free to create either, but the only difference, I mean, technically Bitcoin is free. That's why when Bitcoin came out in like 2009, people were just using like regular laptops and they were minting 50 Bitcoin at one time very quickly because the energy that you use is very low. But now because Bitcoin is so difficult to create, because of the math equations that you have to use to create it is so insane, it is not free because you're going to have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars just to mine one Bitcoin. Okay. For Crypto Kool-Aid said it beautifully when describing TitanX as proof of Ethereum. Great way to frame it. Yes, that's very true. The Hyper security is very strong. As you can see, they have audit number 1 that is zero risk identified with 2 informational findings. Audit number 2 maintains a clean sheet in risk, but just 1 informational finding. Okay. Kudos to the team for their most robust security measures. Yes, so Hyper is very good. It's been audited by some great teams. You can go look at Hyper on their Telegram. Hyper Telegram has 2,300 members. TitanX had around the same number of members before launch. Could the adoption waves happen at the same time? Yes, they're probably going to happen at the same time. Maybe not exactly when it comes out. I know it comes out in less than 24 hours. Maybe the wave won't happen the minute it comes out, but it will happen within the next few weeks. So TitanX is going to explode and the value of Hyper is going to stay relatively high for a long amount of time. Okay, so let's get into the white paper. In Hyper, you create your own coins with your private keys through your own effort via virtual mining into existence. Let me make it bigger for you guys. Hyper is built with self-custody resistance, censorship resistance, and pure DeFi DNA at its core. We believe humans' freedom to transact and do with their finances what they want. Yes, very important. We want the human beings to do what they want, okay? So the important part, the number of days you pick to do mining is either from 1 to 88 days. With TitanX, it was 1 to 280 days, okay? So that's a distinction. And then you use the amount of power that you use. You have the amount of power that you can have in order to create the Hyper. The difference is instead of using Ethereum for the power to create TitanX, you use TitanX for the power to create Hyper, okay? And because you have to use TitanX for the power, it burns the TitanX. And when you burn the TitanX, the value of the other TitanXs that's in the ecosystem dramatically increases and we all gonna be falling, okay? So these are what the formulas look like. Here's another good thing. The power goes all the way up to 10,000 instead of like TitanX where it's only up to 100. So the miners can be created in 2 different ways, okay? You can do a single miner, one at a time, or you can do a mining ladder. This is actually really cool too. This will create mining ladder for you using the contract single miner function at the interval rate you specified at the power you specified. Really cool. So this is what I do. I do ladder stakes too, or ladder mines, And the fact that you can do this programmatically very quickly is very, very good. Okay. You also receive an early adoption amplifier, very similar to TitanX. Okay. The bonus starts at 10 and then it reduces to 0% over the course of 350 days. Okay. You also have a burn bonus multiplier where you can get 8% extra on your new miner if if you've burned up to 80 billion TitanX, okay? So all the protocols that use TitanX and they burn for it will also help Hyper. Really good. Important. This burn bonus multiplier is directly queried from the TitanX core. So by burning TitanX for build on TitanX protocols, you automatically get your burn bonus amplifier amplified to Hyper miners as well. That's why I just said yes. So all your tokens all the protocols that you already had in the past, such as some TitanX NFTs that came out, such as Helios, they will still be able to help you gain more TitanX and help you gain more Hyper, okay? You also have H rank bonus. These H rank bonuses starts at 8 Hyper per 1 mining power. That starts after you. It's 22 Hyper extra per 1 power after you. I think this is a typo. He probably means 8 Hyper after you. So this is the more people that join, the more TitanX you will get yourself. So this is very good. This is mining power explained. 1,000 mining power, you'll get the full current hyper mining ability per day. This is 10,000 mining power, I mean. If you have 1 mining power on your miner, you get 1% of the full current hyper mineable per day. 10,000 power is referred to as a max miner. Wow. So 10,000 is the max. 1%, this should not be 1% unless he did the math in an exponential way, because 1 is not 1% of 10,000. We'll see what it means. So if you have 1 miner, that's 1% of the miner cost. Note, the eventual cost per HyperX you get at the end of the miner moves linearly, meaning that 10,000 power miner and 1 power miner have the same exact cost per hyper. The 1 miner just gets a lot less hyper at the end of the miner, but the cost decreases is the same. So if possible, just do a max miner. It's easier to manage and saves gas. There's no benefit to doing smaller miners at all unless you don't have enough ETH, yes, and we're all poor, for a max 1 or multiple max 1s, or have some ETH change you would like to put to work. Okay, here's the penalties if you don't consume your miner, if you don't claim your miner as quickly as possible. After your miner is done, you have a 7-day grace period where you can do it without any penalties. But after that 7-day grace period, you lose 1% after 1 day, 3% after 2 days, 8% after 3 days, and then all the way down onto 99% after 7 days. Okay. And also you can only do 1,000 miners and 1,000 stakes per wallet. If you want to do more than that, make another MetaMask wallet or whatever type of wallet. Here's a distribution. Okay. So there are 2 steps to this, or 3 steps actually. 89% of ETH gets sent to this decentralized TitanX smart contract to buy TitanX off of the market via Wrap ETH TitanX Uniswap v3 pair. Okay. So when you burn your TitanX, it is exchanged for Ethereum. Okay. Or wrapped Ethereum. All right. Let's read it right here. So when you mine Hyper, you don't actually burn TitanX directly. You burn it through proxy. Okay. To mine Hyper, people will use Ethereum plus time. The Ethereum runs through smart contracts in a 3-step manner, as seen below, all used to strengthen the TitanX ecosystem. Okay, so pretty much how it works is that you burn Ethereum to get Hyper, because they take the Ethereum that you give it. You give that Ethereum to the protocol. The Ethereum is used to buy TitanX, and that TitanX is burned, and then you receive your allocation of Hyper based off of this burn or whatever the Ethereum that you put into the ecosystem. In fact, he explains it here. 89% of Ethereum gets sent to the decentralized buy TitanX smart contract to buy TitanX off of the market via Wrapped TitanX Uniswap v3 pair. Okay, 8% of Ethereum gets stored in the Vortex until the Vortex triggers via users calling it, and it gets put back into the buy and burn smart contracts. We're going to talk about the Vortex later. Then 3% of the Ethereum goes to the Genesis, of which you should have no expectations whatsoever. This may be used to have a crucial pair between Hyper and TitanX ecosystems, or maybe just used to pay Jake Sharp's rent, okay? Or Jake Sharp wants to spend it on super booty cheeks. That's why he says no expectations or for whatever, which is fine. You can pay 3% for, he's the one that developed this whole ecosystem, so he definitely deserves it. Step number 2, 70% of TitanX gets sent to the decentralized Hyper, buy, and burn, okay? So 70% of the 89% of the Ethereum that you use to create the TitanX mine is used to burn for TitanX, okay? So this definitely burns TitanX quickly. Then 10% of that TitanX gets stored in the Vortex until Vortex triggers via users calling it, and it gets put back into the buy and burn smart contracts. Wow. So everything is burning everything at the same time. Then finally, 20% of the TitanX bot gets burned forever. And then finally, step 3. 80% of the hyper bought through TitanX via TitanX hyper gets burned. Okay, so I was wrong 2 seconds ago. It's 89% of the 70% of the 80% is used to burn TitanX directly. The other TitanX that you use is to distribute it throughout the system, is used for Vortex, is used for different aspects, okay? So it's not going to completely kill TitanX, and there's a lot of other protocols that's coming out and TitanX, so they need TitanX too. But the fact that it's burning this, and the fact that we are just at the beginning of the bull run and this is only going to explode, means that we might really want some more TitanX in the future, okay? Especially like, let's say 4 years from now at the next bull run, let's say 2029, hyper might be, I don't know, a cent per hyper, and that's going to be extremely expensive to do anything in hyper, okay? For every new day that ticks over in the contract, these variables get updated. So pretty much what it means is that as each day passes by, it's more difficult to get more and more hyper. It is better to get hyper today than it is to get hyper tomorrow, okay? So the Ethereum cost for miners goes up 0.08% every single day. The mineable per day of hyper goes down negative 0.08% per day. The H rank bonus that you get for having other people come into the ecosystem is 0.35% a day, and the share rate goes down negative 0.22% a day. This is the most important part. This is very similar to TitanX. All right. So the TitanX miner gets 5 times more expensive. The hyper per day goes down 11,000x from 8.8 million to 800. And then combined together, this is a 55,000x price floor increase on the cost to produce one hyper. Insane. This is hyper deflationary. Now, it's not going to happen immediately, but as time goes on over the next couple of months, this is hyper deflationary. This means that TitanX and hyper, as a result, will grow dramatically in price. Now, of course, it's going to become hyperinflationary at the beginning, right? Because these coins are very cheap at the beginning, and that's what we're going through TitanX right now. But as time goes on, it's going to be very expensive to get TitanX, and TitanX and hyper also is going to be rare. So here is the hyper vortex. 10% of the TitanX bought with ETH via the wrap ETH and TitanX pool gets stored inside of the vortex, okay? 8% of all that is used to start a hyper miners and also gets stored in the vortex. The vortex triggers every 98 days together with the 98-day cycle, okay? So TitanX and the vortex 100% used to buy and burn hyper via TitanX hyper gets released every 98 days. Really good. Ethereum and the vortex 100% used to buy TitanX with the via wrapped TitanX ETH, then buy and burn hyper with the TitanX it just bought. Gets released every 98 days, starting for the first time at day 196, okay? So this is complicated. Come back here and read it again. Go to docs.titanx.win, and he explains it in detail. The Vortex is not a wallet, so that's important to keep in mind. Okay, and then finally, we're going to go with the staking. You can also stake hyper. Minimum stake length is 28 days. The maximum stake length is 3,500 days. And all share bonuses cap at 2,888 days. Yes, this is very similar to TitanX again, okay? So the payout cycles are different though. Instead of it being 8 days, 28 days, 90 days, this is every 98 days, every 196 days, and every 294 days, okay? Same thing with 369 days, 738 days, forever, on and on and on. And the distribution is 50-50 between both of them, okay? And they never stop. That's the other thing too. Just like TitanX, it never stops. It runs forever. Hyper is going to be completely decentralized, so it can run forever and nothing will be able to stop it, okay? So this video has been going on for way too long. Come here and read the white paper. I'm telling you this because I thank you, I love you, I appreciate you. Let's get this money.